Aidan, it's so great to have you here today. Can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you?
Okay, so my name's Aidan Roberts. You could probably see that under the camera. I'm 23, born and raised in New York City, and I'm about to graduate for game design development here at RIT. So,
And how exciting is that? Super excited for you. That's fantastic. So let's step back a bit and can you tell us about your journey into game development? How did you choose that that's what you wanted to do? That's where your passion was. How did all of that come about?
right. So, I mean, I've been playing games since I was a little kid. So there's, Webkins and Club Penguin. There's that whole era. Then it moved up to Mario 64, and then slowly Mario Kart, and Smash Brothers, and then slowly to more and more games. Eventually, ended up to that one year that everybody was playing Minecraft on their laptops at school and such. It was for me. It was seventh grade. It's that one year. Everybody, didn't matter if you played or not. Everybody was playing the game, and because it was on the computer for the first time for me, at least since Club Penguin Webkins days, of course, when I was a little kid, it got me thinking just how that possibly could have been created. And I don't know, it got me very interested back in seventh grade, and I started self-teaching myself Java because that's what Minecraft was made in, and I started just from that day forward, almost I just kept going. So it wasn't Minecraft that directly inspired me or anything, but it just got me. It just happened to be the game at that time that got me thinking just more and more about game development. And I just stayed very passionate about game development as the years went on. So,
Fantastic. And that so resonates with me because my son, um, who is in seventh grade, absolutely loves Minecraft. So, yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um, so, can you talk a little bit about? Were there any obstacles that you had to overcome as you pursued uh, your passion for game development?
honestly, I'd say there's been no real obstacles for my passion itself. I think when I'm passionate about something, at least I don't know if it's just me, but nothing really wavers that drive that I have for said passion. Um, if you want to consider school an obstacle, then sure, we can consider school an obstacle. But that's about it.
And you're just getting well. Actually, your last final is tomorrow. Yes.
Yeah, so that
Yeah.
obstacle's about to be cleared.
Excellent. Excellent. So then, as you think about um, what your hopes, dreams, aspirations are for yourself in game development, can you describe that for us?
Yeah, it might sound a bit cheesy, but my main goal and reasoning for being in game design is because I want to make other people happy. I know games bring a lot of people happiness, and if I can contribute to some games that bring happiness to a ridiculous amount of people, that that makes me happy. And I know that sounds so cheesy, but that's genuinely it. Um, so if there's one thing, if I were to become some well-known, know me by name type of person, if there's one thing I'd want to be known for, it would be for that. So, making great games.
Awesome. Very cool. So you've been a member of the team called Project Eureka. Can you tell us a little bit about what your role was or is on that team?
Right, so I'm the lead sound designer, the lead voice actor. I do a few roles that you may or may not hear in the game if you play it. And I am also a technical game designer. So.
Very cool. So you were talking about that you really focused on the sound for
Mhm.
for the game in Project Eureka.
Right.
What are some of the decisions or choices that you made along the way? And what was your inspiration for them, or why did you make those decisions?
Right. So going into the project, my prior experience with sound design was through solely Unity projects. whether I was solo developing or I was just kind of forced towards the route of doing all the sound for a team project for school, that was all of the experience I had. And I jumped into this project kind of thinking it would actually be all in engine, and I ended up having to pick up Wise and integrate it with the engine itself. That in itself was actually very challenging because it was very unexpected, but it also ended up being a very big positive for me because I got to learn the industry standard tool for audio, which is Wise. I got to actually create sounds for once, which was very fun. Before I had, school projects, so you didn't have to worry about licensing and such. You could just rip sounds off the internet and just, show it to your professor and whatnot. But I still always had a fun time doing that. But actually creating sounds, sometimes it was folly inside of my own apartment. Like I'd try to get random plates and stuff. Just creating random sounds in my own house, then modulating it in Audacity and other tools. It was just a fantastic process. And just a lot of good experience in an area and field that I might not get to experience later down the line as I pursue game design. So, yeah.
Really cool. So, had you ever worked in the open source arena prior to your experience with Project Eureka?
I don't believe Unity is open source. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Um, Other than that, Monogame might be, yes.
Oh, okay, okay. I
So if
yeah.
you want to, I believe I worked in Monogame for a little under a year. But other than that, I have not much experience.
So I would love to hear, as a newcomer or first timer to working in open source, what your experience was like. What did you think of all that?
Right. So Rome wasn't built in a day. I don't believe engines were either. And as I joined the project initially, it became very apparent, simply just in the fact that audio wasn't immediately built in, and I had this expectation as somebody with limited experience in open source, um, just thinking audio would just be there. And I don't know if that was just really stupid of me to think that way or just my lack of experience. But regardless, it really grounded me and allowed me to understand just how much work has to go into making these engines in the first place to actually get it to have audio there, built in. And I realized, they have to build all of these systems from the ground up, and seeing team members and working under the people that are actually directly working on and building this engine, it gave me a really good understanding and respect for genuinely just how passionate these people are and how much effort goes into it. Um,
It's
yeah.
amazing, right? I know that we often equate game engines with operating systems in having different systems and subsystems and being really complex. Um, so yeah, thank you for sharing your experience with what was what that was like in
Mhm.
approaching something like that. So yeah, yeah. Um, what were your personal goals in relation to Project Eureka?
Mhm. Honestly, I wanted to build experience in actually forming and working with an indie team. As we talked about earlier, I'm about to graduate and I'm going into a career where I'll probably be working mainly for existing teams, or even if it is indie, it'll be a team that probably already exists. I probably won't be creating and forming this team from the ground up and having this much design impact. Um, just from the start of my career, at least for a long time. So getting this much experience in improving my design skills and just team collaboration and the entire game process was really fantastic. And also getting to work in specific fields like voice acting and audio that I won't be able to potentially do as much throughout my career, even if I want to, especially voice acting. It isn't my main focus. So it was very good experience.
Oh, really cool. So, Aiden, it'd be great to hear from you about how your overall experience in Project Eureka, that you're actually able to use that as a resume builder. You know, thinking about now, you're really on the cusp of graduating and what that means to you.
Right. Honestly, I if you asked me 10 years ago if I thought I'd have a published Steam game with my name on it, not to mention that I did all of the sound for, all the voice acting, I had a lot of design impact for it, I would have never imagined it. I think not many people imagine having, or yeah, could even picture having a Steam game out at the age of 23, or before they even really get their career started. This has given me such an incredible amount of experience and a direct portfolio boost, essentially, to just show off, just directly point at my work and be like, yeah, I did all the sound on that. You can listen to my work quite literally. Um, it's great.
Yeah. So, for your peers, um, and for others out there, what are three most significant things that you've learned, or three pieces of advice that you would share with others?
Right. For starters, I'd say use your time effectively. There's a lot of random things during the project, especially one of this size and in terms of just time, that will throw off the timeline a little bit. Uh, you're going to want to do anything you can to mitigate your own personal. You can only focus on yourself. You could yell at your teammates a little bit, but realistically, focus on yourself. Mitigate any potential time loss for yourself. Um, Second piece of advice, just honestly communicate. There's a lot of times where you might be holding back on asking questions, whether for your teammates or people that you're reporting to. Say, don't hold back. The sooner you ask your question, the sooner you get a response and get to know what you need to know right then and there. Um, yeah, just communicate, really. If you're constantly asking questions, if you're even a little bit unsure about something, you can't possibly be surprised if said outcome were to occur and you didn't ask the question. Um, and honestly, if you have an opportunity like this one to better yourself, take it. That's practically the reason I joined O3D. So
Excellent. Thanks, Aidan. So what's next? I know there are so many exciting things for you in the future. Can you tell us a little bit about those and what you're most excited about?
right. So obviously, I graduate tomorrow. We talked a little bit about that. Effectively graduate tomorrow. It's my last final. Um, Currently job searching for some junior positions, specifically in game design. I actually want to be game developer or programmer for a long time, so my resume is pretty stacked on the programming side of things. But I realized my true passions for design over the past year or so, especially my previous two jobs. And I'm just really hoping to jump into the industry as soon as possible. Of course, it's a little bit rough right now in terms of actually applying for junior roles. There's not too many positions available. So, kind of like the advice I gave earlier, I'm just really trying to do what's in my own control right now, which is to uh, basically just work on my own portfolio and work on uh, myself, basically. And I'm going to
Excellent.
keep applying.
Excellent. Fantastic. So Aiden, as we close today, here's a fun one. What are a few of your favorite games and why?
Right. Um, okay, just gonna spitball a few from different genres. Let's go. Team Fortress 2 genuinely stood the test of time since 2007. I mean, that's the same year that COD 4 came out, and I mean, if you look at the numbers and the player counts and compare the two, it's literally like 100 versus 100,000. Like that should speak for itself. But it's a fantastic multiplayer game. Borderlands 2, one of my favorite single player slash co-op games of all time. Probably the best story of all time for me. Fantastic and very unique graphics, fantastic gunplay, really funny. I don't know, Portal 2, great puzzle game, also very funny, great story, very unique. I don't know. I love a lot of games.
Yeah.
Apparently, a lot that end with two. So
Right, right. Was just thinking the same. Yeah, yeah. Well, Aidan, it has been so wonderful to talk to you today. Thank you for spending this time with us. We appreciate it.
yeah, thank you so much for having me, and it's been a great experience. So thank you again.
Absolutely, absolutely. Aidan, so tell us, where can we find out more about your work?
Well, I have my own portfolio website that I actually created from scratch, no frameworks or anything. AidanRoberts.dev. And if you're just hearing this out loud, realize that Aidan is spelled Aidan because almost everybody I've ever met has spelled it En, which is not their fault, I guess. But yeah, AidanRoberts.dev.
Excellent, excellent.